All right, let's bring in William Platt, Momentum Advisors managing partner. William, good to see you this morning. So what are your Monday money moves here? Do you throw a truck at some drug stocks off that Gilead news, back up the truck on NVIDIA, because clearly it's going to dominate Intel, AMD, many other chip makers, or you just stand pat?
So I like the direction that things are headed in the tech space generally. I think that that NVIDIA is going to continue to appreciate over here, and so we like that position. We're going to continue to hold on to it.
You know, in your note, William, you talked about the market being overpriced at the moment, in your words. What areas are overpriced, and where are you looking for value right now?
So we feel like the market's way ahead of where the economy is generally, and say that consumerism certainly is that there's an anticipation that consumerism is ahead of where I think the reality is. I think that there's two separate sort of segments of the market right now. There's people who have, and then there's people who don't have. And I think that if enough of people who don't have are not able to spend, then we're going to have significant issues in the economy. So I just feel like where we are in the market, where we're just NASDAQ trading at market highs and other indexes very close to those highs, we're way ahead of where we should be when you look at the economic hurt that's actually happening in the country.
William, let's just air it all out on Monday morning. What's the biggest downside risk you see for the markets ahead of the election?
Yeah. Well, I think the election is less important than the pandemic, because I think that the differences between Biden and Trump aren't that great when we talk about whether or not the country could shut down or reopen. And when I talk about shut down and reopen, I don't mean just rules saying that that parts of the economy are going to shut down or not. What I'm talking about actually is whether or not people feel comfortable going outside, whether or not people feel comfortable traveling and spending and that sort of thing. So whether tax rates go from 5% one way or the other, or trade deals or environmental deals, and we have a different perspective from the federal government, what I'm much more concerned about is whether or not people are outside and spending and feel freely to be able to take risk. That to me is the bigger concern. Right now, Biden is ahead on most polls. So there is an anticipation there's going to be a change in administration, but that can really change. And the reason for that change could be that people blame. Who do they blame if things are shut down for an extended period of time? For instance, right now, you know, I'm a dad, right? So I have two kids. They both play sports. Right now, people are really upset in Democratic New York that we don't have high school sports. That is a big deal for the state, and people can change from blaming Trump to blaming Democratic leaders for the shutdown and for overreacting to what they see as not as big of a deal because we're kind of past a lot of the worst of the pandemic. So who's going to win? I think that's very much up in the air, even though Biden is ahead on most polls. But at the end of the day, I don't think it makes as much of a difference because the bigger deal is whether or not people feel comfortable spending money.
William, how are you playing the vaccine trade at the moment? Are you involved in any of the companies that have these vaccine trials for COVID-19? And if so, which ones?
Yeah, that is a rapidly changing environment. So I've been more going into ETFs as a firm. We've been going more to ETFs just because, you know, week by week, day by day, people are coming out with new vaccines and new technologies. Frankly, the vaccine could be important, but it could also be about treatment. It could also be about the technology of more rapid testing and cheaper testing. So there's so many dynamics to that whole scene in terms of which is most impactful. So I've preferred to go the more ETF route, and then and just hope that that the company that's in there is able to you know, that I have exposure to that company.
All right, I'll leave it there. William Platt, Momentum Advisors managing partner. Good to see you.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.